Hey everyone! So today we'll do part 3 of the 9mm SUBSONIC reloading series. So what I'm going to do to make sure that these loads are not tumbling is I'm going to do one of the same loads of Power Pistol as I did last time, and I'll do a load below that as well because the velocities were a little high for SUBSONIC. And I've got the target out there about 40-50 yards away, so I can make sure they're not tumbling, make sure they'll fly straight out that far. And I also just loaded up some Bluedot powder, so I'll just go ahead and test that out too to see if we find a load with that. Anyway, here we go. Alright, so I'm going to be shooting these out of the Cover Tactical Stabilizer Brace. I'll have a link to that video in the description, as well as the link up top there. Anyway, we'll do the this is a new load. This is a Power Pistol with 3.9 grains. Alright, so here's the results for the 3.9 of Power Pistol out of the Glock unsuppressed. Okay, this is the Power Pistol. It's 4.3 grains. Okay, I've got the suppressor on, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot. First I'll do the Power Pistol with 3.9 grains, and then I'll do the Power Pistol with 4.3 grains. The 3.9 grains of Power Pistol had some issues functioning with the suppressor on it. So now I'll go ahead and shoot the 4.3 grains of Power Pistol. Alright, now I'm going to try Bluedot powder. The first one will be the 5.2 grains. Now I'll be shooting the 5.6 grains of Bluedot. Okay, so this is the 5.6 grains of Power Pistol unsuppressed. I only had 4 shots, and it looks like I only got 1 shot through the cranny. Okay, I've got my suppressor on, testing the Bluedot out of it. I will test the 5.2s, and then I'll test the 5.6 grains. Okay, this is for the 5.2 of Bluedot suppressed. Now this 4 shot, I think that was a little high. I could feel the difference. It didn't chamber, and I put it back in, and then it was super high. I think the bullet got pushed in or something, so I may just disregard that one. Okay, this is the 5.6 grains with the suppressor and Bluedot. Okay, 5.6 grains of blue dot. It looks like we only got 4 on here. And they did sound supersonic when I was shooting them, so those numbers do make sense. I've got this Excel sheet put together for you again. I have highlighted the most the most recent shots, which are in part this video, which is part 3 of the 9mm subsonic reloading series. I've highlighted this video's results in green. Now before I was looking at the velocities, I was thinking, blue dot, that 5.6 grains of blue dot, that load looked pretty good. But after looking at the velocities, they're just a little too high. Now, unfortunately, I don't have velocities for all of them. I thought I was, anyway, it's a stupid story. I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. Anyway, but the 3.9 grains of Power Pistol didn't really shoot very good, and it didn't cycle either, so that one's out. The 5.2 grains of blue dot, it shot all right, but didn't function. It didn't function very good either. It was just not enough powder for the burn rate. I had to go up to 5.6, which would function pretty good, but it was just a little too high in velocity. So I have decided to do the 4.3 grains of Power Pistol. Now the only issue is I'm almost out of that powder, so hopefully I can get some more of that powder. I know, good luck right now. Anyhow, that's what the load I've decided on. I'm kind of stupid. I just wasn't recording when I went over the velocities, the chronograph data, so I don't have any velocities for the 4.3 for this time, unfortunately. But in this graph, I have highlighted the 4.3 grains of Power Pistol from this video and the previous video, part 2. I'll go ahead and have all these previous videos linked in the description, and I'll have a link up above for part 2 of the 9mm subsonic reloading series. Anyhow, I've got all these 4.3 grains of Power Pistol highlighted in orange. As you can see, the velocity is pretty good. It's right at the top, but none of the groups were over 5.5 inches. And now there's one thing to remember that I haven't included on this. The loads that I was shooting in part 2 of the video, I was shooting those about 20 yards. So that is those top 3 loads of Power Pistol. Those were shot about 20 yards. Bottom 2, the ones I shot in this video, were about 40-50 yards. And I wanted to go out there, as I explained in the earlier in the video, I wanted to extend the distance to make sure that they were stabilizing, make sure that they weren't tumbling or whatever. I feel like if the further away you shoot, the more likely the chances of the bullet tumbling, if it's going to tumble. Anyways, none of them tumbled. They all looked fine. I know on some of these holes it may look like they tumbled, but it was just the way the paper tore, because of the gap between the paper and the cardboard in some spots. Some spots the paper is completely tied up to it, completely up to the cardboard. Some spots there's a little gap just due to taping and stuff, so it kind of looks like it may keyhole in some of those areas. But I did look at all of them, and none of them keyhole. They're all good bullet holes. Long story short, I've decided to go with 4.3 grains of Power Pistol. Now again, I am using this is a bullet that I have molded and casted myself. It's kind of the cheap man's way of doing it. I've got a cheap Lee mold. It's the 358 diameter, which I then sized down to 356, and then I powder coat it in the Eastwood Ford Blue powder. The reason I went with Lee is because, well, for one, their molds are pretty cheap, and I have had pretty good luck with them in the past. I know that there are definitely better molds out there, but I just kind of go for the cheap. I like to shoot a lot of 9, so I just do it on the cheap.
they didn't have a 147 or 150 grain in 9mm, so I just went up to what they use for the 38 special and 357 mag and got the 150 grain mold and then just sized it down a little bit. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hopefully, if someone is looking to develop a subsonic 9mm load that they cast themselves, hopefully this gives you some information that's helpful. As always, please be safe shooting out there on the range, and stay tuned in for the next video next week.